There's nothing artificial about artificial intelligence. Whoever did this, amazing branding job. We should say, well done, well done.
There is this looming fear of human displacement.
Many jobs will be redundant.
How should teachers be imparting AI etiquette?
To our teachers, no, सिखाने के पहले उनको तो आना चाहिए. I'm not at all afraid of AI in education. Everyone has their own interpretation of AI. ना ही ये intelligent है, ना ही ये artificial है.
Is it making us dumber?
Technology doesn't do anything to us. It is our choice.
Is AI an industry killer? Should we be scared?
Of course, yes. Humans in those jobs are going to be replaced.
Hello and welcome to this WION podcast. Today I'm happy to welcome an inspiring leader who has made a strong impact in digital innovation, technology and creative education. Joining me here in the WION studios is Jaya, Deshmukh, Director and CEO of MICA, School of Ideas. MICA is among India's premier management institutions focusing on strategic marketing, digital communications and AI-enabled creativity. She's a business leader in the field of digital technology and cloud, whose career spans the last 25 years, holding leadership positions across the globe in India, Asia Pacific, USA, Europe, having worked with Google, Microsoft, Colt Technology Services and AT&T as well. Jaya Deshmukh, thank you so much for joining us here in the studios. Pleasure speaking with you. Before we started, you mentioned something which has stayed with me, and that's where I want to start off with. You said, let's ask the right questions and let's ask the hard-hitting questions. So let me start right away with the hard-hitting ones. Is AI an industry killer? Should we be scared?
Well, thank you so much for having me. And yes, we should have the hard conversations. So very happy to just wade in with this one. So is it an industry killer? Of course, right? All general purpose technologies are industry killers, right? So when electricity came in, the candle industry, really collapsed and it just became something for an ambient, atmosphere. When the combustible engine came in, then we were no longer having horse-ridden carriages. So, of course, yes.
Other technologies, everything else. Okay, let me just start off with something very, very basic. Children doing their homework. When I would say children, even anybody in college, I would say, even adults, so many of my cousins that I know, at least till the time I was in school or college, we were not resorting, there was no AI to resort to. But now you put in one feed, everything is point-wise, produced in front of you. Is it making us dumber in a way that we're just so dependent upon a technology which is giving us everything spoon-fed that we stop applying our own selves? Is that the conversation we should also be having at this point?
Now, that's a really good question. So, are we becoming dumber? It depends on what do we define as dumb, right? But the answer from my perspective is yes. When the calculator came along, then we stopped doing, arithmetic in our head. When the mobile phone came along, we stopped putting phone numbers, by hearting phone numbers. So yes, as we get tools, we stop doing a few things. Like one of the things that I got, why do we have a microwave oven, right? So humankind wants to make their life easier, right? We don't want to be hunter-gatherers. So wherever there is ease, wherever that we can offload our cognitive load, we are going to do that. So are we becoming dumber? Let's say we are offloading more and more of our cognitive load or our thinking capability.
Okay, but if we are offloading more thinking capability and AI is not going anywhere, that's clear. It's only becoming more and more innovated, it's only advancing. If we just compare where AI stands today and where it was just over 2 years ago, there's a world of a difference already. At that speed, we can't do away with it. We should not be doing away with it. How do we harness the strength that AI is offering without compromising ourselves?
So some of us will compromise ourselves, right? So why do I feel that? I feel that because take the fact that when polyester came, we stopped wearing cotton, even though cotton is more breathable, because we didn't need to iron, right? So some of us will choose to not do things, right? Like some of us will need to be a bit, I don't know, like to punish themselves to learn up all phone numbers, right? So some of us are going to do it. Let us accept it, right? Now, some of us might want to fight. So I have a colleague, a faculty professor, who said that if we give in to technology, if we give in to it, then they will make us dumber, right? So first of all, technology doesn't do anything to us. It is our choice what we want it to do to us, right? So every individual will have this choice that do we want to offload more or we don't want to offload more. Now, on saying this, ये भी है that if everybody is offloading more, then you may also want to offload even though you don't want to offload, right? So it really, what I'm trying to say is that it's a choice. Don't look at it as something, it depends on how you want to look at that tool. If you look at it something that's going to, I want to be lazy, I want to be lazier, let me give it even things that I don't need to give to it, then sure, it is going to make you lose, that muscle. But if you don't, you say, hey, I want to use it for the things that I'm not good at and I want to enhance that, then it's not going to make you weaker or dumber or, lose your cognitive ability.
I think here I'd like to bring in, because you're from the education sector, you understand it better than any one of us. Ma'am, how should teachers be imparting AI etiquette to anybody who's learning AI? And I'm saying teachers not just for adolescents, I'm saying even for elders. Like my parents have started, my father's totally taken to ChatGPT as well, but he uses it only minimally, as much if he needs to source someone's contact details, when instead of going into a rabbit hole of a Google search, he's able to just put in one command and he gets it. So it helps, there's no doubt in that. But how do we ensure that we use it in a manner without compromising on offloading too much, without offloading too much, let me put it there.
So the first thing is that do our teachers know, सिखाने के पहले उनको तो आना चाहिए, right? So my first thing is that I think all the educationists in India or the globe, we all need to first educate ourselves, right? So that's one of the reasons why when I said, okay, AI is here to stay, I was lucky and I am privileged that I was able to secure admission in Cambridge to do a course, right, in the master's course in AI ethics and society. But I could do it. I think it's really important that all educationists first in India, get educated themselves. Once they are educated, and I'll come to your question about etiquettes of use of AI, but to learn how to use AI or what should the do's and don'ts, you first need to know what is AI. Let me ask you a question instead, right? Yes. What is AI?
It's, of course, we know the full form, but then it helps you understand and assimilate information perhaps without spending as much time as you would need to do with your own faculties, because it already has a certain set of data which you may not have.
So if you ask other people, they won't give this definition. Okay. So the first problem we have then that's why I said we need this important conversation, and I thank you for calling me. Everyone has their own interpretation of AI, right? No one has a definition. First we call it artificial, right? And then we call it intelligence. So whoever did this, amazing branding job. We should say, well done, well done. As a director of a strategic marketing school, well done. Is it artificial? No. What is artificial about it? You're using silicon, you're using lithium, you're using things, it's natural resources, and there's a whole sustainability crisis. You're using energy, right? It uses potable water, right? So drinking water. We are having issues everywhere about drinking water, and this uses it. So there's nothing artificial about artificial intelligence. That's one. Two, is it intelligent? Like intelligence, मायने क्या है? What's the definition of intelligence, right? We as humans don't agree. We use IQ tests. Sometimes we use some tests. Do tests really determine intelligence? So we ourselves don't know what intelligence is, and we are ascribing this thing to code. Now let's get this at the heart of it, and I'm not a data. So all the data scientists, all the professors of technology, please don't come after me, but it's matrix multiplication at its heart, right? How can you call matrix multiplication intelligence? And so whoever coined it, wonderful job, but you've created a host of issues for us, because now we are dealing with this myth. Our communication, our narrative decides the construct, right? I mean, okay, what I mean is, makes us believe कि this is artificial intelligence. ना ही ये intelligent है, ना ही ये artificial है, right? But I'm lucky because I got the education, or I'm taking education, and I think that before our educationists teach etiquettes to everyone, right? Let us create, I would urge the government, let us create a whole, educational system which explains this. Now the government is doing amazing things in terms of technology of AI, right? And we are seeing STEM education and the technology getting a lot of resources. But what about the social nature of AI? So, because artificial intelligence, as I just showed you, that it's neither artificial nor is it intelligent, it's matrix multiplication, it's a human being coding, the data on which it gets trained is our data, which is nothing but full of bias. So, my belief is that we need to educate before we teach.
When it comes to AI taking over industries where we started our conversation, there is this looming fear of human displacement, that humans will become redundant as AI takes over more and more of industries and more of job profiles. How real is that fear? And I just want to quickly quote this example. Just for about earlier this year, Notebook was this social media platform which was created solely for chatbots, and they were mingling among each other, and humans were not allowed to post on that. Okay, that's the way it was constructed, so that's fine. It made for good headlines, but the fact is that they're already mingling among each other. This is something which was unheard of even 3 months ago. That's the speed at which they're evolving. Let's talk about 2 years down the line, or even 6 months down the line. How real is this fear that humans may become redundant in more job profiles?
Okay, so many jobs will be redundant, not humans.
Okay, draw a distinction.
There is a distinction,
Understood.
right? Every time there is a new technology, jobs become redundant, right? So what's the difference this time? Why is there so much fear this time? Because up till now, the tool that we had, or the technology we created was a tool, an extension, right? We never offloaded decision making, right? So even if you take any CRM, customer relationship management system, or a recommendation engine, right? We were, when we say which restaurant should I go to, or it's a dating app, like, swipe right, swipe left, right? It still gives the agency or the decision making capability is still with the human, right? So we are doing swipe right. I have to actually initiate for something to happen. But with AI, what it's with agentic AI in particular, which is what you were the moldboard thing, what we are seeing is that agents take on that decision making, right? So we have outsourced one more level. So recommendation tak tha, to it was okay, it's still outside you. But the moment it's decision and execute, it comes inside the human sphere, what we hold as our boundary. So we are breaking that boundary. So when that boundary breaks, obviously jobs are going to go different. And so then humans in those jobs are going to be replaced. So will humans be replaced? No, the jobs are being replaced by a technology. So what do we do with these humans? We have to retrain them into jobs which cannot be replaced by that technology. So the question, the problem today is that we need to, if you looked at the World Economic Forum, and I'm not very sure whether I'm quoting the exact number right, but if I remember, it said nearly, 1.5 billion people will need to be reskilled, right, or 40% of the workforce. If you see that number, this is not a transformation, you're doing a revolution, it's social change. And kahan hua hai? Where do we have evidence of successful social change in an extremely short period of time? And that's the friction.
I find an irony here, the fact that it offers so much convenience, it makes you want to succumb to the convenience that it is offering and offload some of your own burdens. It can be done in a matter of a few clicks. But at the same time, because it is evolving so fast, as humans, for most people, you will need to upskill very fast so that you don't become redundant because of the convenience you're taking from it.
Yes.
So is that the correct reading?
Yes, we have to upskill, and that is, I think you've hit upon something extremely important. It's no longer going to be useful that I got a particular degree, right, or I got this qualification. It will be redundant, right? So we are getting into a phase where we have to constantly learn, right? And so the skill that's really going to be important is adaptiveness, and we shouldn't be attached too much to I knew this. So anybody who holds an ego in the future that I'm an expert in this, like bhul jao, right? The end, right? So we have to continuously learn, and I think educational institutes in India need to understand that, and here's where the government has been, the NEP is amazing, because it's brought about this academic bank of credits, which is actually saying, here, go learn, right? Whenever you want to, and we will look at all of that. So I think you can't. So to answer your question in a long-winded way, it's about the education. You have to constantly retrain, and I mean, मैं तो 50 साल की हो गई. So my big part of my career is over. But when I talk to my children and I tell them they're in their 20s, that keep reskilling every day. Right. Keep reskilling.
When we come to cybersecurity, there have been recent examples, and very recently, India's Strategic Forces Commander-in-Chief, he mentioned, Lieutenant General Rana, he mentioned how India used artificial intelligence to thwart an unprecedented Chinese build-up in, this is along the line of actual control, LAC in Arunachal Pradesh. This is one incident. Then we've also heard of the skyrocketing number of cyber crimes where AI is also being used. Is there any way to ensure that it is only used where we want to use it and not get scammed by anybody who's misusing it? Is there any way, let me just put it more concisely, if it's something which is produced or developed by man, is there no way to ensure that it is not used for nefarious activities?
ये तो बहुत ही बड़ा question पूछ लिया. But I wish, you know, there is an optimist in me which feels that if only all humans were kind to each other and we did not indulge in, you know, bad things. But I'm a pragmatist, right? Just as a tool can be used for great things, like a tool can be used for other things. And I'm also a realist that those who are using it for activities that are contrarian or not effective for a population, it may be good for another population, right? So as they say, like a freedom fighter for one, a terrorist for another. So this is going to remain forever. So I think the bigger question is that we need to have control over all tools that are so impactful or so material, so significant. And so I think it's really important that every country own or have their sovereign AI stack. And I think going in the future, skills, a sovereign skill, skills that are enough and efficient within your sovereign boundaries will become very essential.
I wanted to come to human consciousness here. A lot of what I wrote was, obviously I had written it down, I printed it, and then there are all these handwritten notes, because somehow even now when I write by my hand, my thoughts flow better. Yeah. Now I can't teach this to a data set or put this in it. I can't explain this to a machine, or can one explain this to a machine on how your thoughts start flowing better? Okay, there are, a lot of families will have a family doctor. Like whenever I go to this specific doctor, I tend to just recover better with whatever they recommend. There is a connect there. Or when you eat food made by your own mother, it fills you in a way that nothing else will ever do, because there is a thought behind that. I just want to understand, can AI ever supersede human consciousness in that manner, or in that sense will it always remain inferior, because it is a machine eventually, understanding?
Oh, it's a matter of time, of course. Like, what are you talking about, right? So, we think of AI in a particular mode. So, like you are looking at it as chat GPT and text, right? But it's voice. Today it's voice, right? If you go on social AI, have you seen something called Replica, right? I would urge you to just, I don't know whether it's allowed here in India, but Replica is a social AI, which means you can have a girlfriend or boyfriend, which is an AI girlfriend boyfriend. There are enough studies which show that you have, there is emotional attachment with your with that. Or if they're using social AI to take care of the loneliness problem amongst older people, and they have a genuine attachment. Even when we were having this conversation, you used the term they, right? So you've already made it human, right? So the problem is not with the machine can do nothing. The problem is that we want to attach humanness to the machine. And if I may just indulge me a bit, the thing is that which other species, let me ask all of you too, right? Which other species do you communicate with using language?
It's more of a, I guess.
No other.
No, there's none.
Right? Yeah. But you communicate with language with this AI, right? So your brain makes you feel that it's alive or it's human. Right. And so we humans fool ourselves into thinking it's, Mustafa Suleyman, the CEO of Microsoft AI, calls this seemingly conscious AI. So the problem is that हम ही ये करते हैं.
Understood. I wanted to come to education, ma'am. Of course, that's your core subject here. I wanted to understand what's the future of education. It's an openly AI-dependent generation, as I've seen, with plenty of school-going kids or adolescents or even in college. How much does it impact human learning when everything is coming from AI? What will be the future when it goes forward? What kind of learnings are they coming out from when they are depending on AI?
So first, I'm not at all afraid of AI in education. I know, right? Not at all. I use AI when I want to learn something, and the reason is that you get a personal tutor. You see, if you have, if you have any, not just ChatGPT or any of these kind of assistants, I like to call them assistants, co-pilot, etc. They understand you very quickly, and then if you say, hey, today I want to learn this subject, right? Back and forth in the way you want to learn. You can control, a learner can control the way you learn. So I think we should extensively use AI in education, but first let's get the faculty, professors educated, and then we can help them understand. Now, what's really important is to understand is this hallucination or is this real? So fact checking is very important, but it's an amazing tool to learn. It's an personal tutor, so it can, if you use it well.
Understood. I wanted to come to this part next. There was a quote which came from the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. He said, AI cannot be left to the whims of a few billionaires. India's Prime Minister slammed countries for, in a way, holding on to AI technology. What is a way for equitable growth for the entire country, for the entire world, to move together in AI, and so that it doesn't get hoarded by a few, even though they've created it?
So I fundamentally have a problem with this. So let me explain why, right? Of course we are going to hoard. Everyone will hoard. So when India was exporting spices a gazillion years ago or 2000 years ago, peppercorn, right? We hoarded. Did we go around giving it? No, right? Or China and tea, someone had to steal it so that the industry could move. So if you have something of value, you are going to hoard it. It's a natural human thing, and so you expand it, is going to happen with the nation. It's good to slam it, to say that why are we doing it, and we shouldn't do it. But human nature doesn't allow for that. So this is number one, right? Two, we shouldn't leave it to the billionaires. Of course we shouldn't, but of course it is with them, right? Because all technology needs, correct, yes. It's capitalism. What we need to understand is the government has the power to intervene through regulation, right? But that regulation needs debate. That regulation needs conversation on the hard and real questions, right? So for example, and if you take the EU AI Act, which is a wonderful regulation, it has a particular worldview. If you take India's AI Act, it has a particular worldview. Have we created that keeping in mind the national needs, ambitions and aspirations? I think with that we can tackle the problem. Regulation can take on capitalism or the billionaires who own the tech.
5 years down the line, or 10 years down the line, or maybe even earlier, what will be the ideal skill set that any job applicant will need across any industry?
The ability to learn, right? We have a thesis at MICA. We've been spending a lot of time thinking about this. So the thesis is that with AI, access to intelligence will become easy, right? And again, let's not use a loaded, access to cognitive ability, access to information, right? So in the previous age, if we had, the person who had information won, right? Information and cognition will become easily available. So when it's easily available to everyone, then what is going to create value? Not these two things. So it's going to be your ability to do something new with what everybody knows. Like, so you know it, I know it, but I need to do something new. For newness to happen, you need to have imagination. So I like to call this the age of imagination. Now it's not me who coined this term, someone else has coined this term, but I like that thesis. And in the age of imagination, what creates value is creativity, right? The ability to think differently. And so the two skills I would say is being creative and having the ability to constantly learn. So learn, relearn. These two skills will make a difference.
Ma'am, when you say being creative, creativity comes to some, doesn't come to everybody. Let me just put it, everyone's not, what I'm understanding from this is, creativity is like if somebody can sing or somebody can dance, somebody can write, do poetry, those kind of abilities, there are there in some, not there in the others. Can it be then learned through AI, or is there something that if it's a necessity going forward in terms of job applications as well, is it too difficult now?
No, so this is again, I completely disagree that some people are creative, some are not.
Okay.
All children are born creative. Show me one child who is not creative, right? Everyone is creative. It is through our educational system that we suddenly think that to be creative means you need to have mastery over tools. I need to be able to hold a paintbrush. I need to be able to do something with my vocal cords. At the AI Summit, we had a panel on this, right? And we had a brain scientist, we had Shekhar Kapoor, we had Vilas Dhar, and we had a documentary filmmaker, Suk Tan. And we debated this. The point is that everyone's born creative. It's our educational system that puts this gap. And I'm saying we need to completely rethink education so that this gap goes away. Now at MICA for the last 30 years, we've been teaching this, right? When they come to us, we tell them you are all creative, and we help them get rid of all of this, barriers to being creative. So I would urge you, come to MICA, right? And it's not that you have to come to MICA. We want to make this available to everyone. But if there's one message I'll give, you are all creative. Just forget about your education. Go back to being a child.
Ms. Deshmukh, thank you so much for joining us here on this podcast. It was a pleasure speaking with you, and I think most important takeaway is that constant learning is the way forward when AI is also constantly learning and at a very, very high speed. Thank you so much, and it was a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you so much for having me.